Hi guys, it's Andy Musso with Fresh Source Farms. A lot of you guys have been asking for a tour of our farm, so I figured I'd give you an idea what it looks like. So we're in a 4,000 square foot space. That's my truck. That's our delivery van that we use. And then the only signage we have on the entire building, because we really don't want people coming inside, is this little sign right here on the front door. So let's go ahead on inside and get out of this loud noise we got going here. I'm also going to lock this because I really don't want people coming in. So right off the bat, this is our space. We have 4 refrigerators. 3 of which are pretty much the same. That one has no handle on it. It's an older model, but these are basically top to bottom refrigerator or freezer. So we have these all set up obviously to be refrigerators. So these are empty at the moment. If you're wondering why there's water bottles in the back, this is actually a lesson that we learned the hard way. This basically doesn't allow microgreens to be pushed all the way against the back of the fridge, because that little vent right there actually blows in the cold air and would actually cause those microgreens to freeze dry. Or freeze anyway. So we ended up putting those bottles back there every time there's a vent that comes in. So you can see that vent down there too, right there. So that way the water won't actually freeze and we can't actually push the microgreens all the way to the back. So that's where we just kind of store some of our extra stuff that we've got. So all these refrigerators are exactly the same. We've got labels galore to put on coolers and stuff when we actually do deliveries. This is our big triple fridge. This is a commercial refrigerator. It's made by Avantco. This thing was very heavy. It's about 1,000 pounds. If you're interested in getting one similar, here's the model number and all that stuff of the one that we have. We bought it from the restaurant store. We also store our edible flowers in here as we're actually harvesting. And this thing gets filled pretty much every Wednesday when we actually go through harvest day. So tomorrow this thing will be more or less filled. That fridge will be filled as well. But it's just kind of extra spill for these guys here, just in case we have a random big order or a catering event or something like that. Kind of work our way around here. We've got my mobile station to do labeling, which I absolutely love this thing. So all these folders here all have the different types of crops that we have. So here's 2-ounce basil, 4-ounce basil, 8-ounce basil, and every single one of these has sheets. Let me grab one that has actual labels on it, sheets of labels inside. So we can actually date stamp them right here where it actually has the date stamp. And all those date stampers are right here. So we've got 4 of them, 3 of which are all set for 14 days. One is set for 10 days. So we put this on like our corn and our basil. Tends to go bad a little bit faster. We've got a whiteboard on here as well, so we can make notes if we need to. And there's also a trash can, and this trash can is actually needed to be emptied, but it's held on here by a Neodymium, whatever it is, magnet. So there's a magnet on the top, on the bottom of that trash can, and on here. So as we wheel this cart back and forth to our harvesting tables, the trash can won't actually fall off. So really, really nice. It's got some bags hanging on it, so they're all built in. You can ignore all this stuff. It's just notes I'm kind of putting together for something we're doing on Thursday this week. But so that thing is really cool. It's just got a grid board, or whatever you call it, across the back here. And it was all just attached using a whole bunch of zip ties, which we use a lot. So you can see, but the nice thing is this whole thing will wheel right over to our harvesting table. Makes it super easy, so we can take everything off of those tables that we harvest on over here, which we'll show in a minute, put them on this guy, label everything up, wheel it right over, and load it into the refrigerators. So it just makes things super easy, because when we're harvesting large amounts of things, you can stack them all right on here. You can put them on that bottom shelf too if you need to, if you need extra space. So it works out really, really good. If you guys want me to do a detailed video on how to actually make this, go into a little more detail. It's pretty obvious, but if you do, then I'll happily do that. So moving on into our employee area and / my office. So this is pretty much just a simple room, nothing crazy. It does the job. Sorry for the weird video for a second there. It's got a coat hanger, the things that we are by law have to post, a little water tank which allows for cold water and hot water, a couple chairs, refrigerator for the employees to use, a microwave, coffee maker, and you can see our little mascot here, Frankie, as we call him. He's been with us since the beginning, so somebody set him up like this just to make this video funnier. This is probably one of the only rooms that actually has a window that's not blocked off. All the rest of them we blocked off. So we got printers here, computers, my desk, and then we have this big giant printer, which is what we actually use to print our labels in-house. So now we got our coolers. So these are the coolers that we use to actually make our deliveries. We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 of them at the moment. So thankfully these are usually enough. In each cooler we put one of our ice packs in, and we also have a towel that we put the ice packs underneath of, so that way it doesn't freeze the microgreens. In fact, I'll show you what those ice packs look like. They're in this freezer in here. So I open this guy up. We have these really thin ice packs. These things are awesome. They're pretty heavy duty. You can see how thin that is. It's maybe 1.5 inches at the most. So that'll sit perfectly on the bottom of a cooler. You can put 1 in, you can put 2 in. Doesn't really matter. Works out really good for that. So that's what we use to actually transport our greens. And then we have this big giant countertop thing that we had left over from when we had our store in Oakton. So we just store, you know, tape and staples and whatever. You can see it's kind of a catch-all for a lot of things. And then these are kind of soil presses waiting to be shipped out. So we've got a bunch of different things already ready to go. They're kind of pre-packaged. And then here's the tablets that we use. So we actually have this tablet and another tablet down here. So this guy is actually on wheels. This thing kind of rolls around, which is kind of neat. So you can keep it at eye level, move it around really easily. This is what we run farm flow on, is these 2 tablets. So as we're going through our day-to-day, we basically have all that available right through there, which is really cool. Then we have this big giant storage rack, which just has a bunch of crap on it. We've got extra lights down here. We've got some soil presses already pre-packaged. We have paper towels, cleaning products. This is stuff we don't really use very often. It's all at the top there. We have grow kits ready to go, some grow kit material here, trash bags, chemicals, all that kind of stuff. And then I don't even know, I guess silica gel packs, and then paper towels that we use for the bathroom and stuff like that. And then we have all of our packaging down here. We try and keep it out of boxes as much as we can, because the boxes, you know, they're cardboard and they're just going to attract and hold moisture. But we only have one of these racks at the moment, so we have them all organized. So all the 8-ounce stuff is at the top, the 4 ounces underneath, and then the 2 ounces down at the bottom. So we grow through a lot of 2 ounce, so we keep that kind of 2 levels here. And then all of our overflow stuff is kind of in this area here. So all these are extra boxes of packaging. This whole area is just kind of a catch-all, a lot of tools and random crap that I just haven't not had time to put away. So we got some 2x4s when we did the construction, some electrical wire. Those are the ceiling tiles we use from a company called Genesis. All the ceiling tiles we have are actually PVC, so none of them will ever rain down, you know, on top of the greens, which is definitely nice. So this whole ceiling is brand new. We put this in when we moved in. We had to do the grid, the tiles, all the lights had to be changed, all the HVAC connections had to be brought down to this level, so it was a little insane. And then we've got our back door, which leads out to our little parking area, if you will, in the back. So this just opens up to here. We've got our own dumpster behind, and then we've got some houses behind us and stuff like that, which is kind of cool. So gives us a little access to the outdoors if we need it. And then we have a storage unit here. It's kind of an overflow from our bigger one. We've got some, I don't even know what that is in there. I'm guessing that's seed of some kind. Some paper, we've got paper towels, more packaging, just things that overflow from the big one. These are some of our grow kit supplies. We've got little things of soil and the pots that we buy, the spray bottles, the things that we put seed in, all kinds of goodies in there. And then we have the one bathroom that we have in this place. So let me turn this light on. Sorry for the fan noise that you're going to hear. You may or may not hear it. So nothing fancy. We put in this medicine cabinet. There wasn't one here. All stainless steel. So this guy's stainless steel. That guy's stainless steel, so we can clean it really easily. Toilet supplies, all that fun stuff. Nothing exciting to look at there. So we'll back out of that one. I'm just kind of going around the perimeter first. I hope that's okay. And then we have our hoses. So these are actually Hoselink. So that guy's a Hoselink, that guy's a Hoselink, as you can see. This is the 82-foot version. And then this guy, I believe, is 50 feet. So we just happened to have this one, so we ended up putting them both in here with my janky plumbing setup that I've got here. But what's really cool is these 2 little units right here, which I'll show you up close, are actually made by a company called Rainpoint. I know it's upside down, I apologize, but each one of these are actually smart valves. So off of this one water connection that comes in right here, I can run 4 different hoses, and I can actually have them turn on and off whenever I want. So we can actually run automated watering for our seed soaking process through this. So we've also got, you know, kind of our SOP on how to actually do that. And then we've got a schedule that actually shows when we soak what seeds, what zone it actually runs off of. And those zones coordinate with the zones that are written on here. So zone 3 and 4, zone 1 and 2. So that way we know what sprayer to put in what bucket, and then it tells us what time the automation runs and then what time we should be planting it that next day to be able to hit exactly where we need to be, which is cool. So I've got these 2 extra hoses hanging here. They're both connected to zone 3 and zone 4 in this case. Then we have a future connection. So this little pipe right here, whoops, right here, will actually eventually have a dishwasher right here. So that's actually a hot water line that we just terminated right there, so that way we can actually hook that up in the future. Then we have our triple bay sink, which I love. This thing is huge. These guys are actually 2 foot by 2 foot, so this isn't a tray, but it's still the same size as a tray. So you can easily get it in going this way or going this way. So you can actually really nicely stack a lot of stuff inside of here. So while we're washing, we can stack a bunch in there. While we're rinsing, we can stack a bunch in here. And when we get to the soaking stage, we can stack a bunch in here too. So we also put up this back wall here. It's kind of hard to see. I don't know if it'll come up on camera or not, but this is a textured plastic wall. And this actually keeps like dirt and water and stuff off of the actual drywall. So we put that just in this section. So that way anything that got wet would not be that big of a deal. There's Large Marge, our dehumidifier, that's what we call her. She's good for 8,000 square feet, and she runs pretty much 24/7. I got her shut off right now so you guys can hear me. And then we've got utilities, or utensils, if you will. So we've got strainers that we can strain the water, so when it gets really gunky, we can use that to get those seed hulls and pieces out of there. We've got this guy, which we use to actually mix our ZeroTol solution for our sanitizing, and then our scrub brushes, so everything's hung out of the way. And then as we're collecting things throughout the week, we just kind of put things either here with buckets or trays stacked up there. And eventually we'll have trays stacked up here pretty high as well. Then we have these little trash cans, which I love. These are called Slim Jims. You'll see these again when we get around to the harvesting tables, and you can see Large Marge has her own little picture of Marge Simpson on the side. So, and then we've got our hand washing station, which has a built-in soap dispenser and paper towels, which is really nice. So that's a really cool setup. Hot water tank that we had to have installed. So literally everything you see here plumbing wise is brand new. We had to have it all done. We had to have this floor drain cut open into here, which extended over into this section. So all this concrete, pretty much from there all the way to the wall just about, had to be cut out, this whole section right here, which was not cheap to have done. So not enjoyable at all, but we had to cram the filtration system, the slop sink, the hot water tank, this hand washing station, and this triple sink all onto this one wall. So it's a pain trying to get all this in there. It was a lot to deal with. So, but we were able to make it happen. You can see all the plumbing lines coming down from the ceiling, stuff like that. Everything's running underneath of the sink over to that corner and ultimately over to that hose connection, which runs up to those guys. So that's kind of that whole back wall. This is our garage door, leads right out to that dumpster that we saw earlier. This is our storage space. So we just have this one little tiny closet. I don't know how easy it's going to be able to see in here, but just kind of has ladders and mops and big brooms. All this water, all these connections all had to be installed. So we had to do backflow preventers, which is what these are. So these actually prevent water from coming back into the line after you ran stuff. All of our electric and stuff is back behind here. We also have a spill kit. So this is a spill kit if we have like a major issue, like if somebody was throwing up like crazy or whatever, you know, or bleeding, or it's just nice to have. And we've also got kitty litter down there too for the same reason. And this little guy right down here is actually what hooks into your wireless for the Rainpoint system to work. So all that automated watering that I showed you before, that's actually what that does. And then we have this tool, which we hope we never have to use, but it's basically a gigantic squeegee. So if this place ever had a big leak, we could push water right out of the building, which is kind of nice. So, and then back over in this corner is just kind of a bunch of supplies. This is a lot of our stuff for flowers. So we've got our food here. This is the pH down that we have to use here. These are the little guys we use to plant flowers. All of our flower seeds are in that bag, so we use those. The little pots that are in there too. Cocoa coir we only use for flowers. I hate having to use it, but we do. I've got 2 backup dehumidifiers right here just in case we need them. Big old bag of vermiculite, which we use to bury our beets and cilantro. Then I also have these guys. We have 2 of these. These are made by a company called Halo, and I guess they're just called Synergetics or whatever, but this is a insect catching thing. These things are not cheap. I want to say they're $250 a piece, and we have 2 of them. But these glue packs basically fit right in here. And I don't know how easy to be able to see this or not, but you can see all the bugs that it's collected over time. So these things work really, really well. And it basically just sucks insects right out of the air, essentially. They're attracted to the light. These are literally insect attracting lamps. I don't know if you can see that or not on camera, but that's what it says. And so when the lights turn off at the end of the day, all the insects want to go to either this one or the one that's up front, which is really nice. So it captures a lot of insects. Then we have these fans, which are made by Honeywell. We use these. I mean, these are running. I don't know if you can even hear that or not, but they're very quiet. We've got a bunch of them running down this whole wall. So I guess we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8 of them. So they're all just plugged in, ran down that whole side. And speaking of plugs, when we moved in here, every single one of these that we can see, this is a dedicated circuit, that's a dedicated circuit. So we actually have 2 dedicated circuits in every one of these plugs. So every one of these little metal bars you can see running down from the ceiling here are all dedicated circuits. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on this wall. So we've got 14 dedicated circuits just on this wall alone. And you can run about 8 racks off of 1 dedicated circuit, which is really cool. So we have room for a lot. And on the other side of the building, it's a little hard to see from here, but that little pole that's coming down there, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on that side as well that will also run individual dedicated circuits. So you figure you can get 6 times 8 on that side and 14 times 8 on this side for racks, which will come out way further than where we have them right now. If we actually get 8 deep, it'll be coming out to right around somewhere like that on that wall in between those 2 front doors. It's kind of insane to think, but so yeah, so here's our buckets for our food that we give to the flowers. This is one thing I want to solve because I'd rather have this be automated. This is a lot of work to actually water the flowers. We just started growing these not too long ago. These are running 2 T8 bulbs each, which is not normal for us. We usually run 2 T5s on all of our microgreens. So these are all the flowers that we're growing at the moment. We just started doing this a couple months ago. They take a little while to start growing. You've got them all in different phases here. So these guys were just planted recently. I think it was last week actually. So we still got some bachelor buttons are already popping up. There's marigolds on the other side of that, and you got some little teeny plants you can see in there. So these guys are slowly coming along. So this is our flower section for the most part. We haven't done much with that yet. And then this is the farm overall. So kind of starts all the way down there and it goes all the way over to this side. So let's take a look. So here's kind of our germination rack. We've never really needed more than 1 rack. And I think it's because we put a lot of things directly onto the shelf. So when we do arugula, sorrel, celery, basil, you know, things like that, they basically go right to their actual final home, which is on the shelf that they're going to be harvested from. And I've talked about this before, but some of you may not have heard it before, but what we do is we actually put a label on the end of every single rack to actually tell when the harvest date is. So this stuff will get harvested November 26th. This will get harvested November 26th. This also is our celery section. So way down at the end there, we just keep all of our celery together. It's just easier. So all this stuff just came out of germination today, which is kind of crazy. So definitely cool. And we had to spill over into one little section over here for the November 26th as well. So we got all these guys that are growing. All this will get harvested tomorrow. This whole 2 sections here, and possibly some of this as well. I have to look at the dates and see, but so it's kind of crazy. So that's our farm as a whole. We grow 25-ish varieties here. And one of the things that we do as well, I want to point this out, is we have, there's not much to look at the moment, but we have heat mats that we actually run our cantaloupe on to get it through germination. So this is the only thing that we actually do a heat mat with. These guys are set to, I think, 83, 84 degrees. So that one's at 84.5. That one's at 82.7. So those are on 24 hours a day to run through that process. We have one of our hardest working employees here, our little Roomba that goes around and picks up all the crap off the floor. We also have our second hardest working employee, which is our Amazon device. I'm not going to say her name because she'll start talking to me, but we listen to music here all day, every day. And we all obviously use a lot of dirt. So we've got 4 pallets of soil here right now. This is all the Fox Farm Coco Loco. For the most part, that's what we've been using for about 3 years now. We have a pallet jack, which comes in super handy. And we're actually testing out right now this Coast of Maine Sprout Island seed blend here. So let me get this turned over one hand. Oh, that's heavy. Yep, so Sprout Island blend is what we're playing with right now. It's actually organic. It's OMRI listed, which is really nice. So we're toying around with that at the moment, and so far so good. Those tests actually look pretty good. In fact, I can give you a little sneak preview because these are the ones that we tested as test trays. So all the ones in green are going to be the Coast of Maine. All the ones in purple are Coco Loco. So you get kind of an idea of what we did for testing purposes. We've got some longer term stuff like celery. This guy takes about 5 weeks. We got basil tucked in here as well. Those guys are about 3 to 4 weeks. So we're testing some of the longer term grows also, so we can make sure that we've got everything under control. So here's our harvesting station. So we have 3 tables, which is enough for basically 4 people to be able to harvest. So, oh, you know what I forgot? So all these buckets that are underneath of here all have seed in them. And this bucket does too. That's our basil. So hopefully I can pull one of these out. Oh yeah, that one's really light because there's nothing in it. So we label them all. So this one should have cilantro. We actually need to order more cilantro seed. But these are all full of seeds. Every one of those red bins that you see down there. And the nice thing is we keep them directly underneath of the racks so they don't take up any physical space. You also have the option, obviously, to store your seed on top of your rack, so it's just additional room that you can play with. We don't really have any need to put stuff up there because obviously we have plenty of room. But anyway, I just want to make sure you saw that. Harvesting tables, so we have these smaller ones, which I'm not a big fan of because there's just not enough room. I really prefer these bigger tables. These are made by Regency. This is the actual model that we use, so we get these from the restaurant store. These things are really nice. So you can easily have one person set up here and another person set up here, and they've got plenty of room. We keep all of our seeds. You know, we have kind of initial sets in these buckets here. You can see they're all labeled. So that's broccoli, cantaloupe, basil, stuff like that. And then from there, we'll actually take them up into these seed drawers and measure them out individually. So like for example, this is broccoli. We've already used some of these, so they need to be refilled, but basically we'll refill every single one of those little containers over and over and over, and that way on planting days we just grab a bunch of those and plant them out really quick. It's so easy. So I really love these little drawer systems. They hold about 12 different ones. You can also see that we've got the seed amounts that we use on the front of every single one, so makes it really nice. So when a person is refilling the seed, especially an employee, they can get in there really easily and actually make sure they get it done. We also have these little mats that we can stand on. They're a little bit wet because we planted some today, but they're really nice and cushy. So really love these. We've got them on both sides here. We also have one over by the sink as well. So right there. So when we're washing trays, we can actually stand on something comfortable and they can get wet. It's not going to hurt anything, which is really nice. You can sweep them off really easily. And this is where I was talking about those Slim Jim trash cans earlier. So the benefit to these is you can see you can literally wipe stuff off right into the trash can. They sit nice and high, you know, so they're a great height. They tuck right underneath of the tables. So we use these at this end, also at this end, and then we have one in the middle over here between these two tables. So somebody can wipe from this side or they can wipe from this side. And you can see there's a height difference on these two tables because this is my harvesting table that I typically use, which is on risers. So I need to clean out the inside of these, but this is these are basically furniture risers that you can put underneath the bedposts and things like that. So my table is a little bit higher, you know, than the others, which is really nice because I'm 6'1", so it's nice to have that added height. And then the last thing we've got this giant whiteboard that we keep between the two tables. So as I'm harvesting, I can make notes here. As my other employee next to me is harvesting, they can make notes here, and the same thing on the other side. This is our squeegee that we actually use when we clean the tables, like literally clean them with soap and water and everything else. We have this little timer that we use for when we're soaking, when we're actually watering the flowers. So it's really nice to have. It comes in super handy. We can leave notes if there's something we want to remember to do. We can write it down on there. And then we have our giant thing of trays. So these are all trays that are clean. They're ready to go. We've got a bunch of colors. These are all from Bootstrap Farmer, of course. So we've got all the different colors. These will get filled in because you'll see over here, these are all trays that need to be put away. So we have a couple racks, one on each side here, just a bunch of different trays. And then this extends over to another set of racks on the back side where we have a lot more of our deep trays, our dark lids, our clear lids, our bags that we use to actually soak the seeds. So when we've got peas or sunflower or something like that, we'll put them into those buckets and then they'll end up in here. So when the water goes in by automated watering, it'll actually do that automatically. So that's what they look like after they've been used. So So that's kind of the whole section of trays there. We use these as our drying racks. We have a bunch of trays that are ready to be put away. We also use those to dry those bags I was talking about, so these get washed every week as well. So these are kind of just nothing fancy, just 4 general racks that we use to actually, you know, wash our trays and dry them. And then we just hang the buckets and other larger containers right off of those little pegs that are up there. We use these bins up here, which are huge, to actually do mixes. So when we harvest a bunch of mixes, you know, if we're doing like 40 or 50 packs at a time, it's a whole lot easier using those big bins. We got those, I believe at Webstaurant. It was one of the biggest food grade bins you could actually purchase. Very, very nice. I love those things. And then let's see. So we've got in the middle here, our rack that has all of our supplies for harvesting. So all of our packaging, we've got 2-ounce containers on the left here, 4-ounce containers on in the kind of off to the left a little bit. Our big containers for 8-ounce, more 4-ounce, more 2-ounce. So that way, if you're coming from either side, if you're coming from this table or this table, it's really easy to get to the 2-ounce on this side, 2-ounce on that side, so you can come from either side. It's really simple and quick. We also have a lot of spray bottles here. So we have water, some hydrogen peroxide mix, which is all food grade. This is the one that we actually use. So whatever it is, essential oxygen. So we mix a very small amount. In fact, it's literally that red line right there is all that you put in for H2O2, and then the rest of that's all water. So it's very, very mild. We also put numbers on all of our things. So this is a 9, which corresponds to that 9. So we make sure we don't accidentally mix sprayers by accident. This has our gloves, has scales, silica gel packs for the actual like residential stuff that we send out to grocery stores, and our soil presses. We have 2 of them. This was the prototype that we had made. That was the very first actual production soil press ever made, and originally had our logo on there, which you can barely read anymore. This thing is desperately needed to be washed because we ended up planting today. We've got all of our weights down underneath it here, so we use those. These are actually from a home gym right here. These are those 15-pound pavers you can get from Lowe's or Home Depot. We've got vermiculite in that bin, and I don't even know what's in that bin because I hardly ever use it, but it's probably something that's worth having. But ultimately, this is, you know, kind of our rack that we use. Got paper towels on both sides. It's also got produce bags, so there's one in that corner, one in that corner, a bunch of different spray bottles, hair nets if somebody needs them, beer nets if somebody needs them. And then this is just kind of a general utility cart that we'll use to wheel things around, nothing fancy. And then we have a tray right here where people will put stuff, you know, their phone or whatever, just that way it's not over there with them. They can just put things, personal things right there. And we got bags on there. These little guys here are actually magnetic, so this holds all of our harvesting knives, which we use the Shun 6-inch harvesting knives. I love, love, love those things. We've got 2 on this side. And again, the whole point is repeating. We've got 2 on this side as well. And we have scissors that we use to cut our flowers. We got a sharpening rod that we can use to sharpen the knives. But it's really more, they're honing. It's not really a sharpening knife. It's more of a honing thing. And then our Coast of Maine that we're testing out is in this bin. As you can see, we labeled it ahead of time. And then this guy here is actually a rolling soil cart. So this whole thing we can wheel right over to the tables when we're actually planting, which is super handy. There's 2 bins, both full of soil. Each one's got a stainless steel food grade scoop that we can use to get the soil out of there, which is really handy. So we've got 2 different sizes. There's one small one and one big one. So this one needs to be refilled just about, but it allows us to just not have to worry about hauling bags of soil back and forth. It's really simple. It's at a working height, so you can really easily scoop everything out. So we really, really like that. It's super easy to build, obviously. You know, it's just literally one shelf. You know, and you can set it whatever height you want, as long as it's got wheels on it. You can wheel that thing around. Makes things super easy. We test drove this for mixes before we got those big white bins that I showed you before, and it worked okay, but it really wasn't ideal because cleaning this thing out was a real nightmare. So we just kind of have this sitting here. And this is all farmer's market stuff. So I've got the table, our tent, and then literally this is all I bring to the farmer's market is a bin full of stuff. This little hand washing station we got on Amazon, 1 tent and 1 table, and that's it. So it's really straightforward. So that's kind of the whole farm as a whole. It's about 4,000 square feet in this place. You can see, obviously, we're not using even anywhere near it right now, but the goal was to move into a place that we had plenty of room to grow. And like I was saying earlier, these can each come out to be 8 racks. So right now they're 3 racks deep, which means they can come 5 more, which is literally going to bring the racks out to somewhere between these 2 doors here. It's probably right around this area. So these racks would literally come all the way down this whole side all the way out to here. So all this stuff that's there would have to be moved over to the right some more. But, you know, so we have plenty of room for expansion, which is really cool. And as I talked about earlier, we blacked out like this door, all these windows. You know, we really didn't want any natural light coming in. We wanted to fully be able to control the light that was coming through the building. So then last thing but not least, we have our GAP certification, you know, which we have up here. And we've also got our employee handbook, food safety plan, all that good stuff. So all that documentation is inside of this folder. So at any point, if anybody needs to get to a standard operating procedure or whatever, we can easily do that. So that's kind of the whole tour of our farm. I don't think I missed anything that I can think of. I'm just kind of looking around to see, to make sure, but this is what an operation of this size looks like and the kind of stuff you have to do to make it happen, for sure. But we're also working on some video stuff as well. So I've got this tripod set up over here. We got some blue dots on the floor so we know where to bring the table over. When we actually film, we just drag over that table that's on the end there and bring it around here. So it makes it really nice to have that set up, and it looks the same every single time. But if you guys have any questions about this farm, or why we did what we did, or how to build any of these particular tools that we've got in here, you know, please don't hesitate to ask in the comments, and I will certainly answer your questions. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that tour. Hopefully it gives you some inspiration to think about where your microgreen farm can go. And obviously, if you're interested, join a couple Facebook groups that we have. We have Microgreens Entrepreneurs on Facebook, and we also have a Microgreens for Beginners, Learn and Grow with Experts. And beyond that, if you want even additional help, you can go to urbanagacademy.com. That's a group that myself, Josh Shaver, and Robert Meredith of Meredith Family Farms runs. He's got about maybe 60 grow racks at this point. We've got about 35-ish. And Josh, I think, has got maybe around a dozen or so. But he also has a seed company, so he's a little bit busy with everything that he's got going on. So we can certainly help you out with that. That is a paid membership group, but it's a direct mentorship from all 3 of us. So we definitely help as often as we can. So feel free to jump in there. And I will try and post links to some of the stuff that I showed you, like the automated soaking system, the Hoselink, things like that. And then that way, hopefully you guys can go out there and try and find what you need to grow your farm as well. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments. Thanks, guys.